through some of that stuff, it's going to grab your attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just doesn't enter your eye gate, and you have no process for it. I mean, you might have keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, but a lot of the stuff, the taglines on them, or you look and you see, it's like, what? Let me check that out. And I have started checking out the sources more often because, people are starting to question, where do people get their shit from?
Right. I mean,
which was something I wanted to talk to you about.
Right. Okay. Tell me what.
Like your most credible news source for you, because I know
for me, if I'm listening to the news, to be quite honest, I'm listening to BBC. I'm listening to NPR on the radio. If I'm listening to the news, is on the radio, because, and that's only when I'm in the lab, because that's the only kind of technology that I have there, to be quite honest. And so I don't really engage with American mainstream news.
When we were talking last week, I was trying to get a sense of where the few people that were on, where they get their news from, because I mentioned Roland Martin Unfiltered, didn't ring any bells. I mentioned The Breakfast Club, didn't ring any bells. A couple.
Say that again. You chopped up on this side. Didn't ring any bells. Yeah, I mean, I think I have heard of them. I think in terms of how much people listen to them, and how much people listen to radio, I think is different too. Because a lot of those people are syndicated on radio. You can always get them online, but people most often engage in hear people like the Breakfast Club is because they're listening to radio, or maybe I guess XM, satellite radio.
Most of them have YouTube channels also.
Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm, absolutely, that's
and
true.
That's where I get a lot from. And it's like I've always, kind of like peeped in on the hip hop community.
Mm-hmm.
For a number of reasons, because I kind of missed the hip hop era in the beginning, and I was living right in the Bronx. But I was deep into reggae and island culture, so I knew more about Dennis Brown and Freddie McGregor and Barris Hammond than I knew about KRS-One and all of that. I came in, I would hear it, but I wasn't down with what the people were actually about, except for like Public Enemy and KRS-One. I knew that they had some political and cultural stuff going on.
Right.
And so I kind of like follow that, and I understand the value of it, but sometimes when I'm talking to younger people, I have not got a sense of what they do. It's like Facebook comes up, okay, now we got Instagram. Now we got Twitter. Now we got TikTok. It's like the younger generations are always running from the older generations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know, if that running from is like, metaphorical for, because there's so much going on that they're taking off on whatever the next wave is running from, or but that's, I mean, essentially what it is, right? He literally, in that last segment, the gentleman said, Americans are getting interested in the next big things, and that's why with hands down he could say that Americans were bigger spenders, right? And so if we're in this culture where whatever the newest wave is that we're hopping on, we don't have a real sense of identity. We just are doing whatever they put in front of us as something that's marketable. And so, especially if you know what I'm saying, if that's how we're moving, if that's all it takes you to go on a trend, no. I mean, there's things that are classics, right? They're considered classics because they kind of last, and that they've been there, and that, you kind of can see them, they never die type of stuff. But no, and it kind of, I don't know, when it comes to thinking about consumerism, thinking about what I refer to as click culture, we have to really be figuring out how to redefine what matters. Like it is important to me. Like I have to start uh making it a priority to, if nothing else happens during my day, then I'm going to get up and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to take my time to be in prayer and do me. If I don't do me for another 5 minutes in the day, I am going to get up and do me in the morning and make sure that I have centered myself in the fact that, okay, whatever it is that I come against today, I'm going to have the ability to make it happen. I'm going to find the tools to make it happen. The people are going to come in my life to make it happen. Case in point, last segment, right? And we're going to be able to do anything you need to be able to do. So chilled out. Because I have to have that conversation with myself. Because if I don't, my body, so there's an interesting, interaction when you have a very highly active brain. And I think a lot of people that deal with stress disorders or mental health diseases, their brain is telling you one thing. Your brain is connecting with your body and your hormones in such a way that there is a disconnect between what you want to be feeling, or what you would signify as happiness, and what your body feels as where you are in your circumstances, in your situation, right? There's not a cohesive, coinciding agreement between where you are, where your mind thinks you are, and your circumstances and where you want to be. Go ahead.
The guy was on there, nice enough guy, but I got the distinct feeling when you said we're recording. He said, of course, so quickly that it made me think that he was recording also.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I mean, I think, or I gather that it was like, oh, of course, because hey, if it's not a big deal, I'm here to help. If this is what it is, then I'm good with that. That's what I gather, and that's funny that you interpret it different, right? And that's what
Yeah.
we run into with life, and when we run into certain situations. For me being under the pressure that I'm under would look like a cakewalk to a lot of people.
Did you
But
just hear? Did you just hear voices?
I did not. Did you?
Yes.
Interesting.
I
Okay.
don't put much past this technology.
Right. And people have been talking about getting hacked and things like that. But the thing is, we recently had to switch and update our information with our tech person. And so we had to recently update, and I had a feeling that this was going to happen when the update happened, because I hadn't ran into any issues before. But we had to do another update, and now this. But I don't know. I didn't hear anything though.
Yeah, it just makes me mindful of what I say and do
Yeah,
in
and
front
privacy. And
in
privacy, we
front of
don't really,
yeah.
because that's what these, the technology, that's what happens with these technologies, and that's the culture that we're in. Is that there's an internet culture and a that requires us to um offer up our privacy and allow people to be invasive, and we not even really know because we're not reading the terms and agreements, that hey,
they're
we're not
they're that
right,
long that
exactly. and
just
and so it's not
right.
even exactly, nobody's going to read the terms and agreement where it says that, hey, we can keep your mic running for as long as we want, even if your phone's not on.
They ask for permission,
Right. And we
and
say,
if
can
you and,
allow you to use the microphone, allow you to
right.
use the speaker. Right. So, we have to be cognizant of those things
And we're
without a doubt.
and it's not that we're not going to use it anyway, but in case we ever should have to answer in a court of law, you clicked allow.
Hmm. Yeah, that's that.
so, so
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. And I don't mind for the most part, like most of what I say, I don't mind it being heard But I try to think about the continuity of my thought process as well as how I express it, that when it's taken out of content, I can point to where the content was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
No, you heard something else?
Are you moving?
Yes, I am
Okay.
shuffling.
Okay, that could be.
So maybe that's what it was. Is that what you heard the first time, me shuffling?
Something like that. It sounded like voices muffled.
Oh yeah, it's probably me rubbing against my daggone leg over here because I'm sitting with my laptop on my lap and stuff.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so either, and I did lock the meeting, so people shouldn't be able to join in automatically even if they have the link. I don't know if that works, but meeting locked, meaning that you don't have it open so anybody else that would like to join. So if we get 6 people in here and we try not to have anybody to hop on, even if it's somebody, even if it's like you, it's just, hey, call the meeting to order at 1:57. If you weren't here by 1:57, the meeting goes on without you. And we call it, whatever it is that way. We figure out, we make our decisions with who's on board and on time. So, either way, I don't know.
Yeah, just thoughts to think. But getting back to what I was thinking about in terms of developing a curriculum and so forth, what had crossed my mind